Oh, our love affair with sugar. Love affair with sugar. I don't know about you, but I sure like some sugar. In fact, today, right? I started fasting. Right, started fasting yesterday, and I decided that I was going to get a jump start, right? Because we do our fasting here during the week, and I'm at work, and I mentioned to someone in our office, I'm not going to call any names, that I had a craving for my favorite type of cake, which is carrot cake. Oh, that's mine. That's my favorite type of cake. And so they went out and they came back with this nice, beautiful bundt cake that had, the icing that was drizzled on top. And it was just there, kind of. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if you're like me, you understand the cravings. You understand how difficult it can be sometimes to overcome. And so we've been talking here about the 3 pillars of reversing diabetes: decreasing insulin, suppressing the appetite, and we are on reducing sugar. That's what we're talking about. We started this last week, and we're going to delve into that a little bit more tonight as we talk about the effect of sugar on our brain. We always talk about the sugar on our body, but we're going to talk tonight about sugar on the brain. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, get off of diabetes medications, in fact, who want to reverse their diabetes. That's right. And we've been using lots of tools here on the channel as we move through that process. If you're new as well, go ahead and put new in the comments, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music, and let you know that we are happy that you're here. If you have questions as we move throughout the evening, go ahead and drop those in the chat, in the comments, and so we'll be happy to get those answered. And as you know how we do what we do when we do here, I've got my meters that we're going to be taking a look at here in just a minute to see what my blood sugars are. Right below that is my report, my glucose report, and you'll see some interesting numbers there. But we'll spend some time looking at that here in just a minute. Let's hop over and let's say hello to some of our community members that I see out there. I see Teresa. She said hello, doctor and everyone. And then of course Steve is saying hello, Teresa. Says, hey Steve, I missed you guys. Yes indeed. Sugar. That's right. Sugar, y'all. If you have not already done so, I mentioned we started this conversation last week at our show. And go ahead and make sure that you get back there and watch that. This is going to be a multi-part discussion that we have, because we're going to walk through this so that you understand, so that you get a good grasp of what's going on as we talk about blood sugars. Okay, so make sure you get over there. That was our last week on our show, Dwain Woode MD Live. Please make sure you get over there and watch it. And then something very interesting happened. Something fun and exciting happened to us this past Friday. We celebrated. Okay, let's pop that up. Come on. We celebrated our fourth anniversary here on the channel. 4 years that we've been doing this now. We've got 383,877 subscribers, 23.2 thousand watch hours, 227.8 thousand views, and 946 videos that we have here on the channel. So I'm very excited for that. We did a 24-hour stream. Go back and watch those as we walk through the shows. And really, it was a path through New Year, New You. Okay, it was a path through New Year, New You. We had some amazing folks come through and give us some shout outs. So glad that we were able to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at some numbers If you are fasting, right? If you are fasting, go ahead and drop those in the comments. As you guys know, we use fasting as one of our tools. If you've had some successes, right? So if you're fasting, I want you to put that in the comments. Yes, say yes. If you've had some successes, for instance, you've had an A1C that's improved, you have a weight that's gone down, I want you to put the starting A1C and the ending A1C, or the starting weight and the ending weight. If you are off of medications, go ahead and pop those in as well. Say just off medication, okay? You don't even have to put the one. We'll talk more about that. And then as we move into this section, I want to remind you that coming up on Thursday, this Thursday, which is the fourth Thursday of the month, we will be doing our community meetup, right? So remember, we do that on the fourth Thursday of the month. That is Thursday, the 22nd of this month. That's coming up this week. And if you have the link, it's the same link that we've been using, in the past. Go ahead and make sure that you hop over there, and want to make sure that you are a part of that conversation. Okay. All right. And then, oh, good. I see another community member. Let me hop over and say hello really quickly. So Pamela is saying hello to everybody. Hey, Pamela, glad that you are here. And Pamela says, I am fasting. Right, I am fasting. And let's see. Okay, all right. So glad that you are a part of where we are tonight. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugar. So here is what my Libre is saying that my blood sugar is right now, and you'll see there over the course of the last little bit, say the last, starting maybe 7-8 o'clock this morning, we were right above 150, and over the course of the day we've come down. Let's see if I have my I need to get my Dexcom. There it is. Here's my Dexcom, and right now it's not giving us a number because I'm not sure why, but we'll come back to that in a minute. And then let's hop over and let's take a look at these guys over here. These are my, this got my Keto Mojo, and I have my Contour. We'll see what those are. And over the course of the last several days, and you guys will see this as we do our check-in later this week, I've got some stories to tell you all. Yep. So anyway, so I've got my Contour meter, and my Keto Mojo, of course, is going to give me a blood sugar, and it's going to give me ketones. So we'll start with the ketones. Get that there. And I'm going to grab one of these spring-loaded. Let's get the rest off the screen. Take the top off, and let's pop over to this view so that you can see me do this. All right, hopefully I got a good drop of blood. Let's see, and I think that, yeah, I think that does it. So let's get that over here on the Keto Mojo, and then on the Contour. And so 94 for the Keto Mojo, and 103 here on the Contour. And let me see if my Libre has come up. Not yet. Actually, let me check one thing. I turned this off earlier today. And let's see, Dexcom. No, it should be there. Okay, so we'll give it a couple minutes and see if it does come up. If not, we'll kind of move on. All right, but right now you'll see there on the screen 94 for my Keto Mojo and 103 for the Contour. And let's go ahead and look at ketones. So what do you think my ketones are going to be? So I started fasting yesterday or last night right around 7 or 8 o'clock. Excuse me. All right, so let's go ahead and see what that is. I don't think I got a good drop of blood. Okay, we're gonna have to do that again. All right, need to grab another ketone strip. That's what happens when you don't get that poke right away. Let's go ahead and put this in. Let's get this one off the screen. And I need another lancet. Do that again. And I think we'll have enough here. I just want to get another. There we go. All right, there we go. So we'll see what that is. And of course, as I always do, I'm going to tease you guys. I'm not going to show you what it is right away. 5, 4, 3, 2, no. And we're going to move off, okay? All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk. So our conversation is revolving around sugar. That's what we're dealing with tonight. And if you recall, the pillars for reversing diabetes: 1, decrease insulin; 2, suppress the appetite; and number 3 is reduce sugar. And so we are now in a part 2 of that discussion. Now, if you follow, I shouldn't even say if you follow, if you watch TV, if you read any magazine, if you go to the movies, most of the commercials that you will see that have to do with food, it presents food as this end all and be all. There's this experience that they're trying to get you into. Because, of course, if you have that thing, if you eat that piece of chocolate, if you have that particular cake, if you drink that particular soda or juice or whatever they're trying to get you to drink, then you are going to be the person. You're going to be the man. You're going to be the woman. You're no longer going to be by yourself. You're going to be glamorous, and life is going to be terrific. That's the presentation. That's the marketing. That's the appeal to get you to look at, to go out and buy, and to go out and eat certain things. Now, that's the marketing. Marketing, though, can't make you do anything. It can significantly influence you to do things, right? So you see it on the shelf. Or it's sitting on the desk. Remember that HEAT model: habits, emotions, access, and taste? But marketing can't make you do anything. So the question then becomes, if marketing can't make me do anything, then why do I then have that craving? Why do I have that desire when that thing shows up? And so our conversation tonight is reducing sugar, part 2. But if I really wanted to really delve in, I would call it something else. And it would be not reducing sugar, not a pillar, right? I would say the powerful influence of sugar on the brain. The powerful influence of sugar on the brain. Now, I'm an endocrinologist by training, and I love hormones, so I love to talk about hormones. Now, I want you guys to do something for me, okay? Everybody who's out there watching, right? This is a participation, okay? And you gotta be honest with this, right? I'm holding you on your honor. So I want you to try something. I want you to try something, and I want to see actually if I didn't do this, I didn't plan this before, but we're gonna do it right now. I'm gonna see if I can do it. So I want you to hold your breath, right? We're gonna count it down, and I want you to hold your breath, and then I want you to put in the comments how long you've held your breath. So we're gonna do it together, right? We're gonna do it together, and let me see if I can pull up I probably can get a counter up here somewhere. Let's see. Let's pop this up. I don't want to count down. I want to time. I want a stopwatch. There we go. So I want a stopwatch. Okay. So I'm going to add this, and so we're going to say 1, 2, 3, go. Right. We're not starting it yet. Right. Hold on a second. We're not doing it yet. So I'll put that right there. Because I want us to do this together. And let me go ahead and put a background. We'll put a color background. There we go. That looks a little better, right? Okay, so I'll put it right there. And so we're going to start it over. And so here we go. So I want you to do this. We're going to start over. And we're going to take some big deep breaths. In and out. In and out. And 1, 2, 3, go. All right, so I made it to 49 seconds. 49 seconds is what I made it to. So if you're out there, I want you to go ahead and put, if you're still doing it, don't let me, I'm going to keep running. Right? I'm going to keep running. Right? But go ahead and drop it in. If you stopped and you're breathing, go ahead and drop it in the comments. How long did you go? How long did you go? Okay? I'm going to have to take this off the screen. How long did you go? Right? Drop that in the comments. So let me ask you a question. Did you want to go through the exercise with us? How about if I said to you, I would give you $1,000 if you can hold your breath for 5 minutes? How about $1 million if you can hold your breath for 5 minutes? Do you think you could do it? And the answer I'm going to answer for you is the answer is absolutely not. Because your body is going to force you to breathe because it needs air to breathe. It is a physiologic impossibility to hold your breath for that long without having anything coming in. Now, there are people who have been hypothermic, so they've fallen into the water and their metabolic rate drops so significantly, right, that they are breathing very shallowly, and it seems as though they've held their breath for a long time. Okay, you may have heard stories about, people who are very disciplined in terms of martial arts or other spiritual practices who've been able to hold their breath for long. I don't have any way of proving those, but I'm saying generally speaking, for us, right, so not the highly trained and all those people, it is almost impossible to hold your breath that long. And the question is why? The answer to that is that your body will make you breathe because it needs oxygen. And as we get into this discussion about sugar, I want you to understand a few things because we're going to be talking about some neurotransmitters and, satisfaction and satiety and so forth. But I want you to understand that the hormonal influence on you, the hormonal influences on our bodies are just as strong as that drive to breathe. I want you to hear me. The drive that the hormones will cause in our bodies, in our mind, is just as strong as what you just felt as you tried holding your breath. So one of the conversations I have with people often is this idea that if someone was strong enough, they would be able to not eat the chocolate. If they had enough internal fortitude, they would be able to not eat the pie. And what I point out to the people often is it's not as simple as that. Yes, many of the things that we deal with in terms of metabolism has to do with choices that we're making. For instance, you chose to breathe, right? But the drive to breathe was so strong that you could not overcome it. And so when we talk about sugar and its effect on our bodies and our brains, we're fighting hormones that are forcing us to do a particular thing. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so we're talking about the powerful influence, y'all, of hormones on the brain. And when we talk about talk about that, I almost want to say that, this is the sexiness of food, right? So when we're looking at those pictures, and when I say sexiness, I'm not necessarily talking about intimacy. I'm talking about the, when it's Valentine's Day coming up, right? So they put the Valentine's candy just so, and they position it so, and they get the little spritz bottle, right? And they spritz it so there's just that one drop of water running down the piece of chocolate with the rose. You know how they do, right? And then that hamburger that's sitting on the plate. And I don't know, have you ever made a hamburger that looked like that? Right, I've made hamburgers. I've made hot dogs. I've made other things. They don't look like the picture, right? So the sexiness of it, what I mean is the appeal that comes from it. And then, right, the powerful influence of sugar on the brain is what we're talking about. So let's talk about some hormones. So the first one I want to talk about is dopamine. And dopamine is often called the reward hormone, right? It's the pleasure hormone. It's that hormone that comes out when we do something that causes us to feel good, right? So you go and you work a hard day, right? Some people get that feeling, oh yeah, I did a good job. Or you passed that test. Or you bought that house, right? That reward. That's the neurotransmitter, dopamine. Dopamine comes out, and it is the thing that gives us that feeling of, It's also the hormone that is involved with anticipation. In fact, have you ever been somewhere or were anticipating something and you had just built this thing up in your head, whatever it was, and then you got there and it wasn't all of that? I've had that happen. But the feeling that you got in preparation for getting there was huge. That's dopamine. Dopamine helps you to anticipate. Man, I remember what it was like when I was growing up and we used to live in that house. And I can't wait to go back and see the house and that tree that we used to climb up in the backyard. And oh, you remember that hole that we dug and we put that rock in it? And then you go and you travel and you're building this thing up in your mind. The dopamine is just rushing out. Dopamine is coming. And you get there and you ring the bell and they open the door and you go into the house and you're like, oh, yeah. The dopamine was there and it gave you that pleasure. It gave you that reward, the reward neurotransmitter. Dopamine plays a role in the brain's reward system. It's responsible for pleasure and motivation. So the motivation that you had to go to visit that home that you used to live in, right? Dopamine was pushing you. The motivation that you had to get up at night when it was 3 o'clock in the morning and drive across town to find that piece of chocolate or that ice cream. right? The motivation and pleasure. When you engage in enjoyable or rewarding activities, dopamine levels go up. They increase. This encourages, watch this, this encourages repeat behavior. So, oh wow, if I got that feeling last time, let me do it again so I can get that feeling again this time. Notice what just happened, right? So the advertisement enticed you because you saw it. You're like, oh man, I want to be like everybody else, so I'm going to go get some, right? Because remember, those are the things. Either it convinces you that you can be like everybody else, right? So you're included. Or it convinces you that you can be better than you are. Or it convinces you that you can be included as part of the group. We don't like to be alone. We like to be better. And we like to be, what was the first one I said? Right, that you're included, right? So you're better, you're included, and this gives you status. So the advertisement did that, but then now you went and you ate the thing, or you participated, and the brain says, oh, that feels good. Because when sugar itself, when sugar is eaten, when sugar is consumed, it stimulates the release of dopamine. And we automatically set up that system. Okay? So dopamine. So dopamine is the first one we want to talk about. The next one is serotonin. Serotonin. And serotonin is the mood stabilizer. It's the mood stabilizing neurotransmitter. It helps to regulate mood, anxiety, happiness. So a lot of the medications that we use in medicine, within the medical field, that deal with depression and anxiety, they regulate serotonin. They don't regulate dopamine, right? Because that's the feel good, that's the pleasure thing. What they regulate is they regulate serotonin. They help the serotonin to be stabilized in the body. And so when serotonin is stabilized, then it stabilizes you. Okay? It also plays a role in regulating sleep, appetite, digestion, right? So all those functions. That's one of the reasons why, right? So when I was in school, one of my professors talked about cerebral gratification, right? That's why sometimes people get focused on bodily functions. If they're not working right, then things are wrong, right? So serotonin is involved in there. So balanced serotonin levels contribute to feelings of wellness, feelings of well-being, and emotional stability. So dopamine, the feel-good, and serotonin, the stabilizer. Right? Two very, very important hormones. And then, of course, the ones that we've been talking about, ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, and ghrelin is produced by the stomach. It signals the brain that it's time to eat, and it increases your appetite. It sends hormones to make you want to eat. That's ghrelin. Grrr, growl. I remember that. Growl for ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. And ghrelin levels rise before a meal, right? So as your blood sugars are going down, the body stimulates ghrelin to make you eat, right? And so it makes you feel hungry. And then after you eat, it decreases, or the levels decrease. So ghrelin, the hunger hormone. And of course, leptin, right, is the other one. So leptin is they're the yin and yang, hunger and satiety. So leptin is produced by fat cells, and they are the body's signal that have enough energy on board, enough stored energy. And so they signal the brain when you have enough energy on board. It tells you to stop eating. It tells you to stop eating. And it's responsible for making you feel full and reducing appetite after you eat. So ghrelin goes up before you eat, and as you finish eating, it goes down, right? To make you say, hey, okay, I've eaten enough, boom. And leptin, once you eat, its level goes up and makes you feel full and says to the brain, hey, I don't need anything else right now. So leptin and ghrelin. And then, of course, our favorite hormone, which we've talked about at length, is our insulin. So insulin is produced by the pancreatic beta cells, and it helps to regulate blood sugar. When your blood glucose levels go up, then the pancreas produces insulin, and the job of the insulin at that point is to decrease your sugar. And it does this by facilitating the uptake that is taking in of glucose into the cells. So the cells need energy, and insulin is the guy that brings it in. This provides the cell with energy, and it helps to lower the blood sugar because now the sugar is in the cell, and it brings it back down to normal. Okay? So dopamine, feel good, serotonin, mood stabilizer, ghrelin, hunger, leptin, hey, I'm full, and then of course insulin brings the blood sugar down. And these are the major hormones, but there is one more that we want to talk about, and let me pop over there. Oops, let's see. There is one more that we want to talk about, and that is cortisol. Here we go. Okay, this is the one I wanted you to see. So cortisol, and you'll see that there on the screen. Stress plays a big role. Actually, let me see. Are you guys seeing? There we go. So stress plays a big role, right, on our insulin, on our satiety, on our hunger, and it can heighten your sugar cravings. Because remember, what is stress? During stress, the body is looking for energy, and it's looking for energy in the form of glucose. All right, so during stress, then our blood sugars will go up. And in the process of causing the blood sugars to go up, then we run into some of the other things that we just talked about, right? And we'll talk more about how that, what happens there as we move into the discussion on insulin and ghrelin and satiety and so forth. All right, I hope that makes sense. All right, so what is the impact on mental and emotional well-being, right? So I have a little chart here that I created. So let's go ahead and let's hop over to that. And it really is walking through the effects of sugar on the brain. The effects of sugar on the brain. So you eat some food, and the food causes the release of dopamine. And when I say food, we're talking sugar here, right? So whenever I say you eat, now we're talking about sugar. So we're not talking about protein or fat. We're talking about sugar. So you eat food, and that food, if it's highly processed, high sugar, then it triggers the release of dopamine. And when you get the trigger release of dopamine, then you feel satisfied. Remember, dopamine is the pleasure, the satisfaction, the anticipation hormone. So sugar goes to the brain. It releases causes the release of dopamine, and you feel good. You feel satisfied. But this is short-lived because why? Because sugar is absorbed and digested quickly. Right? That's why you get spikes. Because you eat it, it goes into the system, the body absorbs it, and then it drops. Then your blood sugar levels drop. So that's short-lived. And so now there is the craving. So there's the thought. There is the anticipation now. Remember we talked about the anticipation of dopamine? So now dopamine in the brain, in your body, is saying, hey, we liked how that felt. Let's go get some more. And here's the kicker right here. Let's come over here because I want to make some points about this one. So here's the kicker. So in your brain, right? And me too. I said not yours, but we've convinced ourselves that we want to eat a certain way. Okay? And that is part of the whole process that we're going through. New year, new you, right? So we've said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fast. I'm going to fast for 48 hours, 24 hours, whatever number of hours. I'm also going to incorporate a particular eating method. I'm going to do Mediterranean. I'm going to do paleo, whatever it is that you've coupled with fasting. Or even if you're not fasting, you're saying I'm going to do low carb. Make sense? All right. So let's assume that you have made that decision, but somehow you ate something that was highly sugared. Something sugary. So dopamine comes out, and dopamine says, I feel good. I like this. But because it was highly processed, because you had all that sugar, then the sugar goes down, the blood sugar drops, and your brain starts to say, hey, we like how that felt. We like how that made us feel. And because dopamine is the anticipation hormone, you start to anticipate now what it would be like to eat that thing again. Right? So the craving begins. And you're resisting it. You say, I'm not going to do that. I've made a decision. I'm in New Year, New You. Dr. Woode is coming on tonight here in just a little while. I'm going to get on there. We're going to talk about how successful I've been. And your brain is playing that thing over and over. Man, I like how, and I'm going to just use me for an example, right? So I'm not going to trigger any of you. I might trigger myself, but that's a whole nother, right? So you start to in your brain imagine what it would be like to get a scoop of that Cherry Garcia ice cream. And it's the smoothness and the sweetness and just a little bit of salt in there. And you got the chunks of chocolate mixed in with those almost whole cherries that are in there, right? And the feel of it and the texture of it. And the brain starts to do that. And as you're doing that, the dopamine is coming out because you're anticipating what it's going to be like. Because remember, we said just a little while ago, the anticipation can be just as big or even more than the actual thing. And what did we say happens when we get that roller coaster to the top of that when we get that car to the top of the roller coaster? When it gets there, when that anticipation, when the dopamine levels get so high, it's like trying to hold your breath. It's coming down. And there's the thing that people say is called the what the hell principle. Have you heard of it? It is, what the hell? I guess I'll just do it this time, and then I'll start over. Right? That's the power of hormones. That's the power that we're dealing with. So the craving begins. And then serotonin comes out, right? Because we ate something, the sugar stimulates serotonin, so we feel good, right? So the dopamine came out, serotonin is there now, so I've got the pleasure part of it, and my mood is stabilized. That's why people crave certain foods, because they stimulate the release of serotonin, and it makes them feel good. Their anxiety goes down. That's why people crave chocolate, for example. Right? So we've got the pleasure part, the anticipation of what it's going to be like to eat that thing. And then once I eat it, now I feel so much better. But because they are short-lived, sugar goes away. Then we get the crash. And when we get the crash, the mood swings happen. We become irritable, discontent. Was it restless, irritable, and discontent? If you've been in recovery, you know those phrases. Restless, irritable, and discontent. That's when people know. Those are the things that signal that something is happening. Talk to anybody who's in recovery. They'll tell you it didn't just start. It didn't just happen. Whatever they're recovering from. When they have that setback, it didn't just happen. They felt restless. Something just wasn't there. It just didn't feel right. They just couldn't settle down. They were irritable. Everything bothered them. Or they're not content with where they are. Restless, irritable, and discontent. And when that happens, then dopamine is saying, hey, you remember? Remember what that chocolate felt like? Remember what that ice cream felt like? You remember what it did to us? It calms us. So maybe that is what we need to do. That's what we need to have. And then the cycle begins again. So food, followed by dopamine. The food, the highly processed, the sugar gets dropped. Before that, though, the serotonin comes out. So we got dopamine and serotonin working there together. And then when the sugar goes away, then those levels begin dropping. And the brain begins playing that. It's like a recording of what it felt like, what it tastes like. Right? And we start imagining stuff. Right? Like I remember growing up and thinking about certain things. And they say the further you get away from an event, the better the event looked. Right. So there were some things that happened to me as I was growing up in my life, right? And the further away I got away from it, the better it looked. And the same thing happens here. Right? We start to create textures. Right? Oh, when you first ate it, you didn't even think about how it felt on your tongue. No, you didn't. But as you got farther away from it, and now the dopamine is there, and the dopamine is helping you anticipate, you're creating a story. Oh man, that chocolate was so smooth on my tongue. You didn't even notice that the first time. Now you're starting to put textures and shades and feelings to the experience. You're creating a story. So when we talk about sugar, we're not just talking about the effect of sugar on organ systems. We're talking about the effect of sugar on this thing right here, this brain. Because that's where a lot of our battle is being fought. It is not, and I'm going to say it to you and say it to everybody out there, it is not taking away a person's ice cream or cookies or candy. It is not if they were strong enough, then they would be able to do it. It is a battle, and we've talked about the battle for your health. It is a hormonal battle. And the foods that we've created, the foods that we have constructed, y'all, feed into the battle. And often it seems like the food is winning because of how we've created it. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do you think it is required for you to eat sugar? I'm going to pause there for a minute. Do you think eating sugar is required? And the answer is no. Like, we could all survive without eating sugar. Now, making a distinction here between sugar and carbohydrates, right? So the foods that we eat, when you go out in nature and you pick something, you pick a fruit, the fruit has natural sugars in it. If you go get some vegetables, the vegetables have carbs, which turn into sugar. Right? So there is natural sugar in foods, in some of the things that we eat, that we pick, that we grow. My question is not that. My question is, do you think we have to have sugar added to our diet, added to our food to make it taste better? Is that a requirement? And the answer to that is no. So how does sugar, so we've talked about how sugar influences dopamine and serotonin, but how does sugar disrupt ghrelin? How does sugar disrupt ghrelin? And sugar disrupts ghrelin because it has a very interesting process, right? So the sugary foods cause decreasing ghrelin levels initially. Because you've eaten something, the body says, hey, I've eaten, and so the ghrelin levels start to go down. But once again, we're talking about highly processed foods. And the foods get digested and absorbed, same idea as with the dopamine. And then you get hungry again. And we go through that cycle. And because it is readily absorbed, quickly absorbed, it does not provide any long-term fullness or satiety, then ghrelin levels come up again and the cycle starts over. So on the one hand, we're fighting the dopamine that's reminding us, that's helping us with the anticipation, that reward system. We're fighting the memory of the serotonin, of what the food did for us, how it made us feel, the calm that it brought over us. And now we're fighting the ghrelin that's making us think we're hungry. I want you to, because I'm making a case here. I'm making a case. And then how does sugar affect our leptin? Remember, leptin is the satiety hormone. Leptin says, hey, stop eating. But the sugar short circuits that. Because what happens is when the sugar goes up, when the sugar comes in, and here comes our other guy, when the sugar comes in, insulin has to come out. Yep. And when insulin comes out, insulin, just like we have insulin resistance, there is a thing called leptin resistance. When insulin comes out, insulin short circuits the hunger and the satiety hormone so that the signal is going to your brain that says stop, stop, stop. But the signal is not getting through. And so the brain never says, I'm full. And that's the danger. That is what I guess I say. That's what we're fighting, right? I was trying to find a different word, but no, that's what we're fighting. And so when we're talking about reducing sugar as one of the pillars, I want you to understand the reason why it is so difficult. We talked last week about the sugars and what they are and how the body uses them and the different types, the monosaccharides, polysaccharides, right, disaccharides, sucrose, glucose, and so forth. Now, I want you to understand where sugar, the part that sugar plays in our bodies and the part that sugar plays in our mind. So as I talk to people about the management of their diabetes, about reversing their diabetes, it is not usually that there is an issue with not knowing how to manage blood sugar. As a matter of fact, people walk into my office and I'll say to them, why are you here? What brings you to see me? What can I help you with? And they'll say, I'm not sure. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, I know what to do. I know I've got to stop eating the carbs. I got to stop eating the cookies and candies and cakes. I got to stop drinking the juice and drinking the sodas. And they'll go through a litany of things. And I'll say to them, okay, well, you know how to do that. What can I do for you? Because I can't help you not eat those things. I can't help you not drink soda. So what can I do for you? And they'll say to me, I'm not sure. And this is what I say to them. And this is what I'm saying to you. We often don't succeed because we don't have structure. Not because we don't know what to do, but we don't have a structure within which to use the knowledge that we have. And so what I provide to my patients, what I provide to my clients, what I'm providing to you guys is a structure to hang all of those things on. Because if you have structure, there's no need anymore to wonder and to imagine how it would be. You follow the structure. You follow the plan. New year, new you. It's kind of like saving. If it's left up to some of us, and I'm putting myself in there, right? Because my wife and I, she's the saver. And I'm excited that she is the saver. Because if left up to me, we wouldn't have anything. Right? But often, when we're trying to save, we leave it up to us. Hey, I am going to go to the bank and I'm going to take out a certain amount of money and I'm going to put it in this other account. Notice what has to happen. I have to do it. I have to go get it, take it out, put it in the other account. That doesn't happen. But if there's a structure where when that money hits the account, it automatically gets taken out and goes into the other account, I never see it. Savings work better. Not because I didn't know what to do, but because now there is a place, there's a structure that automatically does it for me. And so as we're talking about this process, reducing sugar, remember that roller coaster? Right? So once we get up here, you can't do anything. And so the goal is, how do we manage that on this side of that hill? And just like trying to hold your breath, when you're fighting the hormones, it is a very difficult process. And so for many of us, we get frustrated because those people around us tell us that if we were strong enough, if we were spiritual enough, if we believed enough, then we could do it. And I'm here to convince you that while there is personal accountability, there is personal decision, it's not as simple as that. Because we're fighting, just as you saw, we're fighting a slew of hormones whose job it is, normally, is to regulate us. But because of the environment that we've created, the foods that we've created, the tastes that we've created, they dysregulate our hormonal system. And so it is almost, I'll say almost, impossible to resist. And so our goal as we move forward, as we discuss reducing insulin, reducing sugar, we're going to be talking some more about what that is, where the sugars are, how do we put things in place to help us in that process. This is one of my favorite discussions, because it is the place where a lot of people, and myself included, find that we have difficulty. My favorite thing I just mentioned to you is my favorite cake is chocolate cake. I mean, not chocolate, but I'm thinking about all kinds of cakes now. My favorite cake is carrot cake. And last week, they had carrot cake in the cafeteria every single day. And I was fasting, and I didn't eat it, but I got a piece on Monday. I got a piece on Tuesday. I got a piece on Wednesday. I got a piece on Thursday, and if I had gone to work on Friday, I would have gotten a piece. As a matter of fact, Thursday, I think I got 2 pieces, one to make up for it. And I took them all, and I put them in the refrigerator. Why am I putting them in the refrigerator? There's no reason for me to have done that. And I decided, right, that I wasn't going to eat it, but it's in the refrigerator. And my brain, the dopamine started to work. And I began anticipating, right, the little pieces of raisins in the chocolate, in the carrot cake. And the little pieces of pineapple that they put in theirs. And the coconut that they sprinkle on top. And the cheese, the cream cheese dressing icing that's on it. Oh yeah, right? So notice what's going on. The dopamine is creating anticipation. And this weekend was a little busy weekend. And I went in and I said, you know what? The last time I ate some carrot cake, it sure felt good. It tasted good. It calmed me down. Oh yeah. So let's have some carrot cake. And I want to show you something here. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at. This is my Dexcom. My Dexcom report. Let's take a look at this guy. Here we go. So notice I said to you what? So here's fasting, y'all. Right? So we've been talking together. Right? So Tuesday. As a matter of fact, let me back up one. Can I do that? It won't let me. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look at those numbers. Right? Numbers are great. Thursday. And there's Friday. That's carrot cake. Look at that. I can't remember the last time I had a 290. Look at that one. So. Right, I'm leaving it up on the screen because I want you to see it. Right? And I want you to know this is not made up numbers. These are my numbers. And what do I want to say to you all? What do I want to say to us? I want to say that it is a process. And when I say a process, I mean there is there is structure that has to be in place. It doesn't matter who you are. Remember the roller coaster. Once that roller coaster gets to the top, it's coming down. And one of the benefits of what we do, one of the benefits of New Year, New You, is that it provides structure for every single day, for the regular days. And so when you look at these numbers, remember we did a show way back that talked about building time into getting back on track. All those things that we talked about, that's where this comes in. Right? Because as we look at, and so here we are today, right? So we've started our fasting. I couldn't wait, y'all, to get to my fasting day. Couldn't wait to get to my fasting days. But when we talk about reducing sugar, that's where we are. Dopamine, anticipation, and pleasure. Serotonin is the mood stabilizer. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone. Leptin, the satiety hormone. Cortisol, the stress hormone. And insulin, that helps to dysregulate all of that when it interacts with sugar. So that's what we're fighting and talking about sugar. All right, so let me hop over and let's see. We got some comments here I want to get to. Pamela says, I'm fasting. Yay, Pamela! And hello, Pamela. Teresa saying hello. Pamela says, thank you. Teresa says she's fasting tomorrow. I have lost weight, 168 pounds down to 160. What? Teresa! Congratulations. She says, why when testing for blood sugar after sticking, we squeeze blood for the second time and test that blood? Huh. Teresa, give me a little bit more there. I think I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that when, let me come up with this one. Like when I prick my finger, I squeeze, and then I come over here and I squeeze again? I think that's what you're asking. Verify that. But if that is your question, I squeeze simply because I need more blood. Right. So I'm looking for more blood because usually when I squeeze, I need 3 drops. I need 1 for the Keto Mojo, 1 for the Contour, and then I need a second one for the Keto Mojo to bring to get my ketones. Steve says I'm 2 hours into a 24-hour fast. I was able to complete a 36 fast last week, still maintaining my goal weight of 175 to 185. Yeah, Steve. Yes. All right, so let's see. We got some breath holders here. So Teresa says she held for 42 seconds. Steve said 52 seconds. Pamela says 25 seconds. Yeah. And then Grace said, hello, Doc. Hello again. Hey, Grace, how are you? That's one of our team members. Thank you for stopping through. And then Teresa, are you laughing at me? Are you laughing at my carrot cake story? Awesome. Well, y'all, it is always a pleasure being here with you, right? Always a pleasure being here with you. And in this space, remember, we empower, we encourage, and we empower, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And we educate, empower, and encourage because that is what is needed for success. The triple E formula for success. That's what it takes. It takes education, understanding. It takes empowerment, tools to help you move into that space. And it takes encouragement, and that is the community that we are building. I want to thank you guys for being with me tonight. We'll do more check-ins as we get into the rest of the week, so come on back. And I did not get any carrot cake. I still have the bundt cake that's in my refrigerator at work. I should have given it back. I didn't. And my brain is playing some tricks on me right now. But that's okay. We're going to deal with it. Okay? So come on back and we will do our check-in later this week. We've got our community meetup on Thursday. We will we'll do, come on through, hang out with us. I have fun with that. There's some things that I want to try that we'll talk about a little bit during this community meetup on some things I want to do in the future. If you have not done so, go back and watch our anniversary stream, which was on Friday, 24 hours. We've got some shorts that we did from that for people who were coming through and giving us shout outs. And then we will do our This Week in Review on Sunday starting at 6 o'clock. Oh, one thing that I do want to do is, and you guys didn't remind me, I do want to pop back over and let's take a look at what my ketones are, because I want us to, this is going to be my baseline for this week. And we're right now about 24 hours in our fasting. So let me hop back over there, and so I'm going to turn this on. And let's go ahead and get that synced. And remember, my blood sugar, I think, was 95. Yeah. Uh, 95. Okay. And so 94. And so the blood sugar is 94 and the ketones are low. Okay, so that's where we're starting. And remember, ketones of, and that's right here at the end. So ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. Ketones that are 0.5 to 1.5 are considered nutritional ketosis. And above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. And then Teresa is asking for the link. So let me hop over and let's grab that really quickly. We'll put it into our comments here so you guys can hop over and register and make sure that you are a part of that. We will do, like I said, this right here is a, okay, here we are. So we are in the process of discussing the pillars, right? So remember, we're talking about the pillars, and the pillars are 3. They are decrease insulin, suppress appetite, and then reduce sugar. Reduce sugar. And that's where we are. So we're having a conversation here right now about that. All right, so here's the link coming through. All right, please make sure that you get over there and then register for that. That will be Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 22nd at 7 p.m. Our regular showtime, but we'll be on Thursday for our community meetup. Awesome. All right. Well, as always, I am happy to be here with you. Glad to be here with you. Thank you for being this amazing community. Thank you for coming through. Make sure that you are in the space. Remember, our call to action. Our call to action is to join the challenges. Every month we have one. Make sure that you're doing that you're not just listening to the shows, but that you are using the tools that we're doing or using to put yourself in a place to be successful. Right? Our challenge for this month is to pick a week. Right? So we're almost halfway, well, a little more halfway. So pick a week, and during that week, no added sugar in your food. So that means that you can't have a soda, right? Cookies, candies, right? No added sugar. You can eat things that come with sugar. You can eat fruits, right? You can eat vegetables, but no added sugar, right? So that's it for 1 week, for 7 days, okay? That's the challenge for this month. Share your story when you come on, just like people have been sharing their weight, their A1Cs, their blood sugar, their fasting. Share that with us so that we can rally around you. When we see you do it, we know that we can do it as well. When you have places where you're struggling, where you're having challenges, where you're having humps and bumps, we can come around you and be the community that you need, and we get to know that we're not by ourselves. And then invite someone to this space. There are over 1 billion people on the planet right now that have diabetes or pre-diabetes. You can be a voice of change in your community, in your circle, in your family, on your job, at your church, somewhere. Invite someone, send them a link, say, hey, let's go watch this together. Let's walk through the process. That's why we did on the anniversary, we walked through the New You process. Right? That's a good series to have people watch through. And then remember our HEAT model, the things that push us in a direction, right? Just like that roller coaster. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. So make sure you get there and make sure you watch those and be a part of that community. Be a part of this community. I should say that community. And then let's see. Yozer404 says, how do you suppress appetite? Yozer, good question. Now we did, and not to put you off, but we did two of our episodes were on suppressing the appetite. Please go out and please watch those. It's very comprehensive there. Drop me a line if you've watched those and you still have questions, and we can deal with those. Let's see, pillar number 2. Let me see if I can pull up. And we have that as part of our playlist on the channel. All of those shows are there, by the way. Let's see, playlist. And it is called How to Reverse Your Diabetes, right? So how to reverse your diabetes. Now, Yozer, I am saying how to reverse your diabetes. You may be diabetic, but you may not be diabetic. And that's okay, because everything that we're doing in this space is also working for all metabolic diseases. So just because you don't have diabetes doesn't mean that you can't use what we're discussing. And here is, let me pop over. So here is our playlist, and you'll see there the second pillar. So we got the first pillar, reversing diabetes. The second pillar, suppressing the appetite. We did 2 episodes on that. So make sure you get out there and you watch those. And of course, last week we did the third pillar, and then this week we're doing a second episode of the third pillar. Okay? All right. As always, thank you for being with me. Thank you for hanging out with me. As I say, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you at our check-in later this week. We'll see you at our community meetup, and then on Sunday for This Week in Review. Good night. Have a great one.